Good morning, Dan and Amy. The KIPP charter schools changing their motto. They decided that their current motto is a bit too controversial in these times.
What's their motto?
Their current motto?
Yeah, what is it? Because I don't have it memorized.
The motto is work hard and be nice.
What's wrong with that?
Isn't it obvious?
No, work hard and be nice. That's pretty basic, but yet makes sense.
It diminishes the significant effort to dismantle systemic racism, places value on being compliant and submissive, supports the illusion of meritocracy, and does not align with our vision of students being free to create the future they want. That's what's wrong with it. So we'll take your suggestions for replacing work hard and be nice with KIPP charter schools. I mean, I guess if that's wrong, then you'd go the opposite direction. Lounge around, be angry. America sucks, so you should too. Right? Isn't that the message? I'm a victim. I can't do anything about it. This country's terrible, so I'm going to be terrible for my life to show you just how terrible this country is.
I'm going to break into your store and steal and take whatever I want.
That's the logic of it, isn't it? Work hard, be nice. That's controversial. Okay. Uh-huh. This is, I believe, what our friend Carol Swain means when she writes, America's sovereignty is teetering on a precipice. Carol Swain, a black woman academic, a standout academic at Princeton and Vanderbilt for many years. You've heard her on our show. Mm-hmm. America is poised to collapse from within. Her imminent demise will not come from foreign troops quartered on her soil. It will come from Marxists and anarchists who use racial grievance and the cries of the oppressed to dismantle America's institutions and defenses, and then have people like those underwritten by the well-heeled center-left in the charter school movement jump right over the edge with them. We're at a historical moment, writes Carol Swain. We're at a historical moment where America's institutions of higher education, many of them founded and led by Christian leaders, have rejected their founders and become transmission belts for socialism and Marxist propaganda. Teetering on a precipice. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Kurt Schlichter. He is a trial lawyer, retired Army infantry colonel, and senior columnist for Townhall.com. His new book, The 21 Biggest Lies About Donald Trump and You! Exclamation point. It's almost like the end of a Yakov Smirnoff joke. And you, Soviet Union, Soviet Russia, come for you. Kurt Schlichter, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, I want to thank you guys for having the city of Chicago, a place that sucks more than my own hometown of Los Angeles. So thanks for taking some of the pressure off of us.
Not a problem.
Yeah, you guys look good.
Not a problem. So I mean, but before we get to running down the 21 biggest lies, the KIPP charter schools as an example, replacing work hard and be nice, that is obviously oppressive in its nature, and then just the larger point that highlights this precipice that many people believe America is teetering on.
Oh, I don't believe we're teetering. Look. I'm a military guy. What ground do these guys hold? Not very much. They hold our institutions, but our institutions were already in a long, drawn-out suicide pact long before this idiocy happened. It's a great, what we call the military information operation. You got kinetic operations where you're taking guys and shooting. That's not what's going on here. This is trying to demoralize us. This is trying to convince us that we are falling apart. And our garbage institutions, everything from Hollywood to the mainstream media, they're exhausted. They've failed so long they can't even stand up for themselves. I mean, look at academia. Back when I was in school, if I walked in and say, "Here's my demands for dismantling systemic meritocracy," here they are. They look at me and go, "That's really nice. Go do your work."
Yeah.
Has anyone ever said no to these idiots? Has anyone ever said, "Oh, thank you for your demands. I want you to roll them up really tight, light them on fire, and then I want you to stuff them," and you know where that's going.
No, because if they say no to them, then they face getting fired. losing their jobs, losing their careers.
Exactly. I don't understand that. For instance, like 33 years ago, some Boeing executive writes a thing critiquing women in combat. And, I'm a colonel, and I kind of know a little about war stuff. And 33 years later, he's sitting there groveling as he retires. I'd say, no, I'm not going to be fired. Well, I may be fired, but then I'm going to sue you because I'm going to fight back. And if I were the chairman of Boeing, in which I own stock, by the way, I would say, gosh, are you really upset about what he wrote 30 years ago? Send me a long memo and then roll it up real tight, light it on fire. You know where I'm going with
I'm
that.
sensing a pattern of, yes. So here's the thing, though.
I watched Deliverance last weekend. It made an impression.
Oh, boy. But this could get really graphic then. So I know that the cultural Marxists were in charge of all of our civic institutions prior to the last 30 or 60 days. But that was not inconsequential then, and perhaps it's even more consequential now that they're actively providing cover for the mob. I don't know that, and I'm not suggesting you are, but I mean, don't you find the disintegration of the civilizing institutions in America troubling?
I do find it troubling, but it's inevitable. Change is inevitable. What we're having here is a battle of our garbage elite against normal people who rebelled in 2016. Let's look at the generations, right? Let's do a comparison. We got the greatest generation. They beat Hitler and dragged America out of the Great Depression. That's a good achievement. And we have the generation that was in charge during the 60s, which did civil rights, actually dismantled systemic racism, which was all put in place and executed by Democrats, but we'll just kind of leave that to the side for a second. And they put a man on the moon. And this generation, well, our accomplished elite, the spectacular betters who are always willing to tell us how they are morally and intellectually superior to us, they gave us, let's see, Iraq, the Wall Street meltdown, Grindr, not a great track record to run on. Okay?
I didn't see Grindr.
If they want to collapse, I'm like, I'm pulling out the block on the Jenga.
Yeah, but okay, but the collapse won't come without consequence, it would seem, and part of the consequence, and you look at who has the levers of power, and you see increasingly that's big tech companies and big government. And that turns out to probably more likely than not, and you don't need to be Ray Bradbury or Aldous Huxley to figure this out, it probably turns out not to end so well for the freedom-loving folks.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm optimistic. Now, look, I wrote the book, 21 Lies About Donald Trump and You. I got to say that because my marketing guys will hassle me if I don't.
Well, we were going to get to
it. But part of it is how, including by big tech, they attempt to basically hoodwink us with a nonstop tsunami of lies. The thing is, the gatekeepers don't matter as much as Andrew Breitbart, who was my pal and dragged me into all this, pointed out. They don't mean as much when the walls fall down. You can talk about how dark and divisive Donald Trump's speech at Mount Rushmore was. You can whisper about how it's worse than Hitler at Nuremberg. And then a normal person can nod his head and go, okay, I'm going to actually listen to it, on Townhall.com, for instance, where I'm a senior columnist. And then you can go and listen to it. And you can go, wow, it was all a lie. It was all a scam. It's all garbage. Look, I'm a Los Angeles trial lawyer, and I deal with liars all the time, so I'm kind of a snob about liars. These guys aren't even good at it.
All right.
I mean, it's just, look, I thought I had no shame gene because I went to law school. I look at these people, and they don't even blink when they lie to you. They're not even lying because truth isn't important. We're in a post-truth era. And you have to understand. Yeah, you can never talk these guys out of anything because they don't care. You can say, look, the sky is blue, and they go, nah, the sky is black, and that's because it's important for that to be that color today.
All right, so Kurt, we have a presidential election about 5 months from now. Pretty scary stuff because I feel like everyone's focusing on everything but that. But in your book, 21 biggest lies about Donald Trump. What's the number one lie about Donald Trump?
Oh my gosh! Look, there's so many. I could have done like another I could have gone 21 Lies to Electric Boogaloo, but apparently you're not allowed to say Boogaloo anymore for some reason. The biggest lie is really a conglomeration of it, that Donald Trump, who's really an avatar for people like you and me and your listeners, are bad people who are evil and have built a giant system of oppression. Well, that's a giant lie. We built the freest country, the most just country, most prosperous country on the face of the earth. And when I had the honor of leading American soldiers as part of the greatest force for peace and justice ever, the United States military, I had the chance to live overseas. I lived in the ruins of a civil war in Kosovo. I spent time in the Middle East. I get it in a way that these, 24-year-old blue check Twitter Vox writers can't ever get.
And
the reality is what our founders gave us is glorious, and it's worth fighting for, and I think we're going to fight for it, and I think Donald Trump's going to win in November. And I think he's going to win in November because I think everything we're hearing, Donald Trump's 48 points behind in the polls, everything's falling apart. Well, if you lie about a speech at Mount Rushmore that I can go click on YouTube and watch, I know you're going to lie about a poll. And here's my personal test. I know a bunch of people who said, well, I didn't vote for Donald Trump in 2016, but I'm voting for him this time because these communist lunatics are scaring the hell out of me. But I know zero people who say, well, I want to get that. I voted for Trump last time, but this time I really want to give a shot to that gropey, senile weirdo who lives in a basement.
They don't put it quite in those terms, but they're
the exact terms. That's the exact thing.
It's verbatim.
I mean, it gets a little more graphic. We're not going to go down that road. This is Salem.
Do you see that? Do you see Trump's speech at Mount Rushmore over the weekend as perhaps a turning point and a refocusing of his presidency and this campaign in this next 5 months to really frame the choice in more or less the terms that you just presented it?
I think it is. I've had people go, well, Trump's exhausted, and he didn't really want it. And he's got, oh, come on, he's the most competitive guy on earth. This is a guy who marries nothing but models. Okay, I'm from Los Angeles. That's a certain kind of guy, and he doesn't like to lose. Of course, I married an immigrant model too, but
okay,
that's
good
all
for
right.
you.
She probably speaks 5 languages, just like
Slayer.
Melania.
Right.
But no, the thing is, he wants to win. This is about getting us focused, getting us back in action. And I've watched. It looks like they're getting their organization together. Look, I'm a War College graduate. I like organizations that function well. His campaign hadn't been. I think it's been refocused. I know for a fact people have gotten to him and said, you need to square this away or you will lose. He is a real estate developer. He understands that sometimes you have to reset and apply Gucci loafers to people's behinds. He's going to do that. If I have to choose what horse I'm riding Donald Trump in November.
He is Kurt Schlichter, trial lawyer, retired Army infantry colonel, senior columnist for Townhall.com. The book, The 21 Biggest Lies About Donald Trump and You! Kurt, thanks for joining us. Good luck with the book.
Hey, thanks for having me, you guys.
Take care.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Sometimes when it rains, it pours right into your basement. This is Gus from Chicagoland Waterproofing. My mission is to identify why your home is taking on water and fix it. I want you to sleep at night during a rainstorm and not worry about your basement filling up with water.
Gus, it's Bernice Mitke. I just want to tell you what a blessed relief it was when I went into the basement to not see a puddle anywhere. So I thank you. Bye-bye.
From